and welcome to another episode of Mine Planning Matters, a podcast where we talk about where the industry gets it both right and wrong when it comes to mine planning and mining engineering. This podcast is not just for mine planners, it's for everyone who has anything to do with mine plans, from those who create them, to those who execute them, and all the way up to those who endorse or sign off on them. My name is Mark Bowater, Director and Founder of Australian mining consultancy Insignia Mining, and I speak from experience, having been involved in mine planning for over 30 years. Hello everyone, welcome to the first edition of my new podcast called Mine Planning Matters. My name is Mark Bowater and I'm one of the owners and directors of an Australian mining consulting company called Insignia Mining. Now, firstly, why a podcast? I've written plenty of articles, I've written a book. One of the things that I decided was, I don't really like writing. I'm an engineer, I'm not a journalist, I'm not an author. And so I figured that a podcast was an alternative way for me to get messages out there without having to write. Because in all honesty, for me to write an article, I sort of feel that there's got to be an element of professionalism about it. And so it takes me a long time to write them and then edit them and so on. And I figure, gee, if I'm just talking, I don't need to take that long. The other interesting thing is it's taken me a long time to actually sort of launch this. I first came up with the idea and decided to do it a long time ago. And then I found lots of excuses. I found lots of reasons not to do it and to delay it and to put it off. And one of those was that I actually needed to sit down and write scripts. So it was really only just recently when I decided, no, I'm not going to write scripts. I'm just going to do it. It's going to be rough. It's going to be ready. It's not necessarily going to be professional, but I'm just going to do it. So that was one reason. The second reason was that writing articles and books and so on, there's an audience out there that I really want to get some messaging across to, who maybe don't have time for reading articles and books and so on. You know, when I wrote Crimes Against Mine Planning, I knew that mine planners would get what I was talking about and that they would understand what I was saying. But the audience that I really wanted to appeal to was at management level, you know, general managers of mines and above and so on. In terms of getting some of that messaging out there about some of the faults and failings of mine plans. And so I want to try and appeal to an audience who maybe don't have time to read and so on as well. So they're probably the two primary reasons for this podcast, Mine Planning Matters. And then the title, Mine Planning Matters. I'd love to be able to take the credit for it, but I can't. Credit goes to Caitlin Matheson, one of the team members of Insignia who came up with Mine Planning Matters. Really, there's two parts to the name, or it's a double-sided sort of name. Firstly, I'm going to be talking about matters that are mainly associated with mine planning. Mine planning will be the sort of the main subject. And then the second thing to me, mine planning does matter. It really does matter. Mine sites revolve around mine plans. You know, they are important. They're a fundamental part of the mining industry. And so they do matter. And so I think it does matter that we get them right and we challenge things about mine plans in terms of taking them forwards. Now, what am I going to do in these podcasts? I'm going to talk about things, you know, changes that we need to make, challenge some of the things that happen in the industry. I'm going to interview guests every now and then. Sometimes I'll actually just cut and paste parts of webinars that I've done or professional speaking, and I'll include those as parts of this and so on. One of the things I think that's important is I want to try and keep it small, bite-sized sort of chunks. I don't want 20-minute or half-hour videos. People aren't necessarily going to watch those. So I want to try and keep it maybe typically say 5 to 10 minutes or something like that. So, and I want to try and do it on a regular basis. So I want to hold myself accountable to try and do it on a routine basis. And therefore that means that they're not necessarily going to be professional. They're just going to be me picking something and just talking about it. So hopefully you get something out of these going forwards, and I look forward to the journey together. Thanks for listening to Mine Planning Matters and my thoughts on mine planning. This podcast is for the benefit of the mining industry, and that's you. So I'd love to hear from you through the comments section, and please feel free to let me know any topics you'd like discussed in future episodes. You'll find much more content at our Insignia Mining website, and if you find any of our content valuable, please let your mining colleagues know so they can benefit as well.